My name is Amy Ressel. I'm 30 years old. Today is Monday, June 29th, 2015, and I'm speaking with Karen Donsbach, who's my mom, and we're recording at Becky's house. Okay. Let's see. So what was your relationship to Dorothy?
Dorothy is my mom.
Oh. And what is your first memory of Dorothy, your mom?
I think one of my very first memories was sitting underneath the sewing machine at her feet while she sewed. She had the sewing machine set up in her bedroom, and she gave me the pin cushion. And I know I was only about 2, but my favorite thing to do with that pin cushion was to pull the pins out and push the pins in. I also remember her teaching me how to tie shoelaces about that same age. And I practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. And she just kept letting me make mistakes until I learned how.
How old were you?
I was probably a little older than with the shoelaces, about 2.5. But with sitting under the sewing machine, I was probably about 2.
That's fun. And what is your most vivid memory of Dorothy? Like, sticks in your head, so lifelike.
When I was a little girl, Mom would get plants and she would start a garden near the street. And I always was there with her gardening. I remember that she got some sweet alyssum and bluebonnets from family in Texas. We were living in California at the time. And she got different plants that she planted in the front garden in California. I don't think they survived, but she tried. That was pretty vivid.
How old were you then?
Oh, I was probably about 8.
She always loved gardening. What about Dorothy makes you smile? Like when you think about her, something that makes you smile.
My mom called me every Saturday morning at about 6 or 6:15 or 6:30 to catch up. And she'd say, "Tell me about your life." She would ask about news, and I learned from her to collect happy memories through the week, and because those little treasures were things that she really was looking for. So I got into the habit of collecting these happy and sustaining memories to share with my mom.
Aww.
One of the things I miss the most about her is that I don't get those Saturday morning phone calls anymore.
Yeah.
Before the world is awake.
Aww. That's sweet. Can you talk about any obstacles that Dorothy overcame in life? Any hardships or anything? We can skip that one. If anything comes to mind, let me know. What were some of Dorothy's favorite hobbies?
Well, she loved to sew and make crafts and weave and make banners.
What kind of banners?
Banners just a fabric with any kind of picture that she wanted on it.
Oh.
She would cut out other fabric and glue it on there. I remember one project she had, it was for a fundraiser, and she took all of her jewelry, all of her rhinestone jewelry, and she took all the rhinestones off and glued them onto like Christmas stockings and sold them for a benefit, probably for the church. In later years, I remember when she started pottery in our garage in Houston, and then again in Austin, and which then turned into a business. She made very beautiful things, and the most interesting thing is, I would say, "Mom, you're an artist," and she says, "Oh, no, I'm a craftsman." And so that was an argument that she always won.
She's so talented. Do you have any favorite stories about Dorothy that you can think of that you'd like to share? Or?
When I was 12, we were moving back to Texas from California, and we were driving both cars, and I sat in the front seat with Mom going all across the Southwest back to Texas. And her best friend, Sam, had given her a book called The Velveteen Rabbit. And the Velveteen Rabbit, you know, became real because it had been so loved. And she had me read this book from her best friend to her in the car. We had the windows open, and the desert air was blowing through the car, but I read that whole book to my mom. She said, "Read that to me."
Aww.
That was a very vivid memory.
That was from Sam Bell?
Yes, and it wasn't until decades later that I found the book again and saw that it was from Sam, and it has a little note in there from Sam saying, "Thank you for making me real."
Oh, because she loved her so much?
Yes.
That's so sweet. What would you ask Dorothy if she were here today?
What can we do today?
That's a good one. And she'd probably be willing to do just about anything. Do you have any traditions to honor Dorothy, or any traditions that you feel like we carry on that Dorothy did?
Yes. Some of the plants that she gave me these poppies that I grow, and I save the seeds of the double poppies, and that they make me feel like she's near me whenever they bloom. May 17th, which is my dad's birthday, a year ago, I planted some columbines in memory of my dad, and this year my columbines all bloomed spectacularly, and up in the midst of them came one double poppy.
Aww.
And that connection through the gardening, feeling like she's there, is something that I can do daily and feel like I'm near her. I can tend to my garden as if I were tending to my mom.
It's so sweet. How do you think Dorothy would want to be remembered? Like, what kind of legacy do you think she would want people to think of when they think of her and her life?
She would want them to remember how much she loved them and how much she had faith in them. Her legacy is a legacy of believing in other people when they didn't believe in themselves even.
Yeah.
She had a friend a quilting friend, one of her mentors, who in later years didn't have such a good memory anymore. And she told me about her friend Tilly. And it made me cry, just absolutely weep. And she says, "You remind me of Mama," meaning her mother, because I was so sentimental. And yet, she never, ever, ever put us down for our little weaknesses, like my sentimentality or whatever. She always built on our strengths. And I think she would like to be remembered for having encouraged people to be their very best self, whatever that self is.
I can see that for sure. Do you have any other, like, anything else you want to add? Any other memory or funny story?
I went to visit my friend Naomi Rothborough at her art studio in Belleville. And Naomi told me a story about how she had been at the Atlanta airport with a colleague. They were going to a conference. And another woman, a very large woman, came and sat across from them, and they picked up a conversation about, where are you going? What are you doing? All those things. And the other woman stopped what she was saying and looked directly at Naomi and said, "There are angels." And Naomi said, "Yes." And the woman leaned closer to her and she said, "Dorothy would like for you to know."
What?
"Dorothy would like for you to know. Thanks for all your help, and she's enjoying the flowers."
And y'all didn't know this woman?
No, she was a stranger. She was going
What?
to another conference. I never told you that, Anne?
No. Oh my gosh.
So I know right now,
That's so crazy.
first of all, Mom always put her name on everything. So she would have said Dorothy. Second of all, she was always thankful and filled with gratitude every day of her life. And third, she always enjoys the flowers. So that was a wonderful, wonderful thing that happened. But it's such a personal thing that it's hard for me to share that openly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that story, and thank you for answering all those questions.
Thank you for asking me.
Love you.
Love you.
My name is Amy Ressel. I'm 30 years old. Today is Monday, June 29th, 2015, and I'm speaking with Becky Cavanaugh, who's my aunt, and we're recording at her house. So what was your relationship to Dorothy?
She was my mom, and she was the best mom ever, and she was also one of my best friends, if not my best friend.
Aww. What is your first memory of Dorothy?
Gosh, I don't remember exactly, but I remember in California, in Altadena, when we were growing up, her cooking in the kitchen. And she'd have a stick of butter there, and I'd lick the butter. That's kind of gross. So I guess, cooking in the kitchen in California.
In Altadena?
Yeah.
How old were you in Altadena?
I was born in California and lived there till first grade. And then we moved to Houston in the middle of first grade.
I didn't know you were born in California. Can you talk about the biggest obstacles Dorothy ever came in life? think of any?
Well, I'm sure living on a farm and then going to seek her fortune in Houston, I'm sure that was took a lot of courage. Having 4 kids, especially the 4 kids that she had, I can't imagine what that must have been like, but I think that was probably a really big challenge. Not me, of course. I mean the other kids.
What were some of Dorothy's favorite hobbies?
She loved to do all kinds of things with her hands. Macrame, crochet, quilting, pottery. She loved herbs and she loved gardening. And she loved music, and she'd play guitar to us at night. Yeah, and we'd all sing. And that's how we all learned how to harmonize. She would play guitar, and we'd all sing, and she'd teach us all the harmony parts.
Aww, that's how you and Sue are so good at harmonizing. That's so neat. Let's see, do you have any favorite stories you want to share about Dorothy? I know you shared some. Are there any other funny ones or any in particular?
Every story with Mom in it was probably pretty funny because she was very secure in herself and loved to laugh at life.
Yeah. How do you think Dorothy would want to be remembered by everybody? What do you think she would think her legacy would be?
I think her legacy would be that she accepted all different kinds of people as her friends. That's why she had so many friends, and I definitely think she taught that to us, and we've learned how to be open and accepting of people and have an open house rule that everybody's welcome. So I guess that's the bigger picture is just of love. Just loving people.
I see that in everybody.
And unconditional love.
Yeah. Aww, that's sweet. Are there any traditions to honor Dorothy that you can think of, or traditions that we've carried on that were kind of something that she cherished?
Well, just today you brought over that.
Oh yeah.
That bouquet of flowers. She would always show up with plants or flowers at someone's house, or cuttings from her garden.
Yeah.
That's a great tradition because she loved plants and flowers. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That was all. Well, thank you for the interview.
You're welcome.